Welcome to this lesson on formal and informal register. Register is simply the level of formality in your language. You already adjust your register naturally when you speak. You do not talk to your friends the same way you would speak at a job interview. Writing works the same way. The challenge is knowing exactly what makes writing formal and when formality matters. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify register levels and make confident choices about your language in any writing situation. Here is what we will cover. First, what register actually means, and the spectrum from very formal to very informal. Then, specific word substitutions that shift writing from casual to professional. When passive voice is appropriate and when it is not. Why contractions and colloquialisms weaken formal writing. And finally, how to match your register to the audience and purpose. The key principle is that register is not about right and wrong. Informal writing is not bad writing. It is about what is appropriate. A text message to a colleague in a policy report serve different purposes, so they need different registers. Register is the level of formality in your language, and you choose it based on your audience, purpose, and context. Think of it as a spectrum. At the top, very formal, legal documents, policy papers, official reports. Then, formal, professional reports, academic writing, business correspondence. Neutral sits in the middle, newsletters, general emails, information brochures. And at the bottom, informal, text messages, social media posts, casual emails to friends. Most professional writing sits in the formal to neutral range. The key is matching your register to what your reader expects. The quickest way to raise your register is to swap informal words for formal alternatives. Kids becomes children. Heaps of becomes substantial or considerable. Got becomes obtained or received. A lot becomes numerous or significant. Pretty good becomes satisfactory or commendable. Sort out becomes resolve or address. Notice that the formal words are more precise. Thought could mean almost anything, but obtained and received each carry specific meaning. That is the real benefit of formal language. It is not just about sounding professional. Formal words are usually more exact and less ambiguous. Two more features of formal writing: avoiding contractions and using passive voice appropriately. Contractions like don't, can't, and won't signal a casual tone. In formal writing, expand them. Do not, cannot, will not. This is a simple change that immediately raises the formality of your writing. Passive voice is the other tool. In active voice, the subject does the action. The team conducted the survey. In passive voice, the action is emphasized. The survey was conducted. Passive voice is useful in formal writing when the action matters more than who performed it, or when the doer is unknown or obvious. But do not overuse it. Too much passive voice makes writing vague and hard to follow. Let us see a full transformation. The informal version says, "We've got heaps of feedback, and it's pretty clear that people aren't happy. We need to sort this out ASAP before things get worse." Now, the formal version, substantial feedback has been received from customers, and it is evident that satisfaction with the new system remains low. This issue should be addressed promptly to prevent further deterioration. Notice every change. We've got becomes has been received using passive voice. Heaps of becomes substantial. Pretty clear becomes evident. Aren't happy becomes satisfaction remains low. Sort this out becomes addressed. ASAP becomes promptly. That worse becomes further deterioration. The meaning is identical, only the register has changed. Let us practice identifying register. Text A says, "Hey team, just a heads up. The deadline's been pushed to Friday. Don't stress. We've got plenty of time." That is clearly informal. Contractions, slang like heads up and don't stress, and a casual, friendly tone. Text B says, "Please note that the submission deadline has been extended to Friday." This adjustment provides additional time for completion. That is formal. No contractions, precise vocabulary like submission deadline and adjustment, and an impersonal tone. Text C says, the deadline has been moved to Friday, which gives everyone more time to finalize their work. That sits in the neutral zone. No slang, no contractions, but still direct and natural without being stiff. All three say the same thing. The register is the only difference. Now, it is your turn. Pause and rewrite each sentence in a formal register. Question 1. We can't figure out why the numbers don't add up. A formal version, we are unable to determine why the figures are inconsistent. Can't becomes are unable to. Figure out becomes determine. Numbers becomes figures. Don't add up becomes are inconsistent. Question 2. Heaps of people showed up, and the event went really well. Formally, attendance was substantial, and the event was highly successful. Heaps of people becomes substantial attendance. Showed up becomes attendance. Really well becomes highly successful. Question 3. The boss said we've got to get this done by next week, or we're in trouble. Formally, management has indicated that the task must be completed by next week to avoid adverse consequences. Let us recap. Register is the level of formality in your writing, chosen based on your audience, purpose, and context. Word substitutions are the quickest way to shift register. Kids to children, got to obtained, heaps to substantial. Avoid contractions in formal writing. Expand don't to do not, can't to, cannot. Passive voice is useful in formal contexts when the action matters more than who did it. But remember, formal is not always better. Match the register to the situation. A casual email does not need formal language. However, using informal language in a formal document undermines your credibility. The key takeaway is to know your audience and adjust accordingly.